We've already spoken about the Children's Hospital today. There's something that they do that you probably never think of. I'm not sure I did. It just shows how far and wide the NHS imprint is. Jess Mardell joins me now from the Speech and Language Therapy Unit. Jess, good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us what you do.
Well, like you say, we're probably some people that you never really think of because we do a lot of stuff. So my particular role as speech and language therapist is in mainstream schools in Sheffield. So I go out and visit schools. So we're a really big team that goes and works with children in the school setting. I said I'd try and promise to mention everything that we do. So we also have people who work in nurseries and special schools, things you might think of. People work with children and adults with stammers, people with cleft palate. And then the thing that no one ever knows that we do, but I don't do this so don't ask too much about it, is we work with people who have swallowing difficulty, so making sure people can swallow safely.
Well, let's talk a lot about that. let's talk about what you do. Going into schools with language therapy, what's needed?
Well, there's a massive level of need, and it's a really kind of hidden disability we talk about. So a lot of our work is trying to raise awareness that a lot of children have speech, language and communication needs. So around 10% of children have a communication difficulty, and often that goes unknown and unidentified until they're a bit older, and what we're learning more and more is the impact of that. So what we're finding is children who've been excluded, a huge proportion of them have a communication difficulty that might not have been picked up on, because if you can't understand what's going on or you can't express yourself when you're getting upset or frustrated, then that can lead to the kind of things that get you excluded from school or get you going down the path that ends up with you in the Youth Justice Service. So around 60% of young offenders have a communication difficulty.
Right, this isn't turning into a private consultation. But I've mentioned my youngest, she has a genetic imbalance. She has a permanent deletion of the short arm of the 9th chromosome.
Okay, I don't know about that one.
No, it does mean that from time to time she can get very frustrated because she can't always... She's doing really well, and the SEN team at WAF are amazing. But she can't always get across what she wants. And when that happens, that's when tables fly.
Exactly.
I mean, really, tables fly.
You're totally understanding that this is what our biggest role is, really, is some of it's sitting down with a child one-to-one and helping them put sentences together and learn how to communicate, because for these children, we pick it up, like children, typically developing children, language just happens, they kind of soak it up and it all just happens naturally. But for this 10%, they're going to need more support. So some of what we do is working one-to-one with the child, but a huge thing is about working with, so I work in schools, massively working with teachers. Teachers and the education system are amazing. We do a lot of work with them to help the person working with that child to understand how to communicate with that child, to give the child perhaps some visuals for them to be able to show, look, I'm feeling this, like this means that I really need this to happen, or this is what I really want, because it's so frustrating if they can't express their needs, or they're getting so lost in that classroom, because in school, like, language is just such a huge part of learning. But actually one of the biggest things I find when I see children or talk to parents is it's the social side of it. So things go wrong at break time and the kids can't use their language to sort that out, they can't use their language to talk to teachers about what's happened, so they can't understand they can't use their internal language, because we do a lot of talking in our own heads to help us feel better, to help us not hit out at someone even if they've really annoyed us. So they haven't got those language skills to keep all that in check. So, and
the work that schools do, I think, is really important. I know we're talking about NHS today, but
it's massive.
I was, if I'm honest with you, I was really worried about Belle going up to secondary school, because I went to that secondary school 30 odd years ago, and it was a very different place. I mean, she would have been bullied 37 years ago, without a shadow of a doubt, 30 years ago. She's actually been welcomed. The teachers are incredible. Kids are so much better. That's the other thing. The kids are so much more understanding these days. But the SEM provision has just been breathtakingly good. I
mean, we have such a good relationship as a team with the schools in Sheffield. We love working with them, and they've all got the kids' best interests at heart. And whenever we talk to teachers, they love the ideas that we give them. It's just there is such an issue now, and I know you don't want it too political today, but schools, there's been stuff in the news. Sheffield schools have had some of the biggest cuts in the country, and what we're finding is, even though the staff are brilliant and want to help these kids, they don't have the time and resources, and especially the lovely teaching assistants they're our backbone, they're the ones who do the stuff with the kids. That's not not in place as much as it used to be and as much as it needs to be, and that's a really big issue, and I'm going to drop in some more politics there. There's been a John Bercow, from the Speaker in the House of Parliament, he did a report 10 years ago about the state of the provision of speech and language and communication services for children in the country, and he made a lot of recommendations at that point. And then in March, the 10-year review report was released, and there's some pockets of wonderful stuff going on, but there is a lot of stuff that's still not happening. I mean, the awareness isn't out there. We want early identification. People don't understand it as well as they should, and we really want a bigger, wider national policy on speech, language and communication because of that knock-on impact it can have. So I've got a big speech bubble, which is not great for the radio, but it says, I am supporting Bercow 10 years on, and we're really just... So if you go out and have a chat to people about communication today, if you take that away from today, that's really great to think about what we do.
Well, it's certainly something that we ought to be thinking about on the radio, because if we can't communicate, we're all in trouble now. Just thank you very much indeed for coming in. Much appreciated.